of Iranian American communities, Dr. Ramesh Sepehrrad. Doctor, what is the Islamic Republic thinking in this selection of Mojtaba Khamenei?
I think we've made a full circle back to the 1979 where the struggle hasn't finished, because right now what we saw and what we see with Mojtaba, he is now the Ayatollah king of Iran, and this is why the Iranian people are in the streets and have been in the streets shouting down with the dictators, be it the king or the Ayatollah. So, and last night, even people took to the streets saying, down with Mojtaba. So I think the message here is that the regime has signaled the world that it's going to gear up for more repression. IRGC is going to gear up for more terrorism. And this is a full message of delegitimized regime that has been weakened at home and has been rejected in its entirety by the people of Iran. Nothing comes out of this regime that will be in favor of the Iranian people, and that's why we have to shift our focus to their call for regime change.
Here is the latest from Iran's foreign minister on how Iran views the next steps for them in this war. Watch.
We never give up, we never surrender, and we continue to resist as long as it takes. We continue to defend ourselves, and we are defending our territory, our people, and our dignity. And our dignity is not for sale.
Well, militarily, they can be forced to surrender, but can you kill this extremist ideology inside Iran?
I think the Iranian people have already told us that they're rejecting this extremist ideology. If the reason Mojtaba Khamenei was selected is an indication on how the inner circle of the regime is narrowing down further, and I think that's why they had to settle down for his son, this hereditary succession of the Ayatollah, because they're trying to bank on Khamenei's brand that stands for repression and terror. And I think that's, despite what the Iran's foreign ministry says, this is a regime that's been rejected by its public. This is a regime that has been confronted with a very strong resistance movement. And in fact, that resistance movement is been growing in the country and has been more and more organized. The National Council of Resistance of Iran has called for the provisional government to step in, and there will not be a vacuum after this regime falls down. And within 6 months, Iran can have a free and fair election where the sovereignty can be transferred to the people of Iran. We will see a much stronger call for republicanism now that the King Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei is in power, because that is what the Iranian people want. They want a secular republic, rejection of monarchy, rejection of theocracy, and moving forward to really throw both the King Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei and whatever is remnant of the previous dynasty of Pahlavi to the dustbin of history.
There are reports that some military members in the IRGC are laying down their weapons, not showing up to work, and obviously that is going to be the key to determine how long the regime can hold on. But you also need the power of the people, and the more people you have on your side, the better if you're the United States. So, Doctor, if you were to break down by percentage the number of people, percentage of people that still support this regime, and the percentage of Iranians that no longer or do not or never supported this regime, what would those numbers be, Doctor?
I think the best number that we can rely on, because Iran is not a democracy, we can't really study it and measure the percentage, but the best number that we can count on was the number of the turnout that came into the election of Masoud Pezeshkian's sham presidency. And I think that tells you that it is less than 20% of the Iranian people that are willing to even show up to the ballot box that is held by this regime. So, majority of the Iranian people are rejecting this regime in every form of resistance. We see men, women, young people, old people, people from all walks of life, different Iranian nationalities, Kurds, Baluchis. This is what we need to harness on, the rejection of this regime in its entirety by the people of Iran, and recognizing their call for a secular republic. And that's why we see more and more support for the provisional government that was announced by Maryam Rajavi as as a way to bring this regime down and transfer the sovereignty to the people of Iran. And that's the future of Iran that we should rely on.
Well, we heard from War Secretary Pete Hegseth on 60 Minutes yesterday saying that this is not a fair fight, and that is, of course, by design. Dr. Ramesh Sepehrrad, we thank you so much.